Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So thank you all for joining in for our everyday Kartik program. So we'll be starting with the study of Easy Journey to Other Planets, and then we go on to the recitation of Bhagavad Gita chapter 12, and then Srimad Bhagavatam 10.31, which is Gopi Geet. And then finally, we will be doing our lesson from Damodar Leela, Damodar Ashtakam, and offering of Deepdan to Lord Damodar. So in this way, we will try to do for the pleasure of Guru and Gauranga. We'll start with the prayers. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadhamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahana Raghunathan Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Prajana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakantam Namo Vishnu Padhaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauramani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Nami Gauradushe Namaha Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Swarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktikam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinavando Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tarale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkripatamam Vande Shri Gurun Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tatsat. Hare Krishna. So Dandat pranams to all the devotees. We will start our session with the study of Srila Prabhupada's Easy Journey to Other Planets. We were talking about anti-material world. So what is this anti-material world? Anti-material world is a world of Vaikuntha, where there is no Kunta, where there is no misery. And how do we go there? Prabhupada explains that we go to the anti-material world by performing anti-material activities, which is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. Iti Shodashakam Namnam, Kali Kalmashanashanam, Nato Paratropaya, Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate. Right? In the Upanishads, it's mentioned simply by chanting the 16 words Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Kali Kalmashanashanam. All of the ill effects of Kali Yuga is automatically destroyed simply by practicing devotional service, beginning from Shravanam and Kirtanam. And then Prabhupada also mentions that one only needs to cultivate a desire to go back to this anti-material world, and then one will mold one's life to always remember Krishna, never forget Krishna when one was living, and whatever one remembers throughout one's life, that is what one will remember at the time of death. And then Prabhupada is going to talk about a series of general practices that should be generally done by devotees, some positive functions to be done by the devotees so as to attain this anti-material world, which is free from birth, death, disease, and old age. All right, so let's move on. Let's request some devotees to read. Okay, so I find Leela Nandini Mataji, your hand is up. So go ahead and read. General practice, positive functions. Yes, Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji, Dandat Pranam.
Dandavats.
General practice, that is positive functions. The serious candidate must accept a bona fide spiritual master in order to be trained scientifically. Because the senses are material, it is not at all possible to realize the transcendence by them. Therefore, the senses have to be spiritualized by the prescribed method under the direction of the spiritual master. When the student has chosen a bona fide spiritual master, he must take the proper initiation from him. This marks the beginning of spiritual training. The candidate must be prepared to satisfy the spiritual master in every way. A bona fide spiritual master who is fully cognizant of the methods of spiritual science learned in the spiritual scriptures such as the Bhagavad Gita, Vedanta, Srimad Bhagavatam, and Upanishads, and who is also a realized soul who has made a tangible connection with the Lord, Supreme Lord, is the transparent media by which the willing candidate is led to the path of the Vaikunthas. The spiritual master must be satisfied in all respects because simply by his good wishes, a candidate can make a wonderful progress along the path. The intelligent candidate places intelligent questions to the spiritual master in order to clear his path of all uncertainties. The spiritual master shows the way not whimsically, but in accordance with the principles of the authorities who have actually traversed the path. The names of these authorities are disclosed in the scriptures, and one has simply to follow them under the direction of the spiritual master. The spiritual master never deviates from the path of the authorities. The candidate should always try to follow in the footsteps of the great sages who have practiced the method and obtained success. This should be taken as a motto in life. One should not superficially imitate them, but should follow them sincerely in terms of the particular time and circumstances. The candidate must be prepared to change his habits in terms of the instructions contained in the books of authority, and for the satisfaction of the Lord, he must be prepared to sacrifice both sense gratification and sense abnegation, following the example of Arjuna. The candidate should live in a spiritual atmosphere. He must be satisfied with as much wealth as is sufficient for maintenance only. He should not try to amass more wealth than is necessary to sustain himself in a simple way. He must
Hare Krishna.
observe.
Thank you,
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Hari
Hare
Bol.
Bol. Thank you. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank
Okay,
you.
so here Prabhupada is first giving 10 points, actually. So in these points, Prabhupada is actually talking about what are the various things that are to be done by the devotee in order to transfer oneself to the spiritual world or the anti-material world. The first point what Prabhupada is mentioning is Tadvidi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinaha. The first step is to take the shelter of a bona fide spiritual master. Right? Who is a bona fide spiritual master? Here Prabhupada talks about the spiritual master being one is transcendental himself, right? Only a person who is beyond the three modes of material nature, who is not tied by the three modes of material nature, can actually remove the knots, right, of a person who's trying to get himself relieved of the three modes of material nature, right? A person who's already bound, Prabhupada explains in Bhagavad Gita, a person who's already bound cannot unbind or cannot untie somebody else, right? And secondly, Prabhupada mentions the quality of a spiritual master. He must be satisfied in all respects, right? Only an intelligent a person who's actually transcended the three modes of material nature can give shelter to another person who is stuck in this material world or who is bound by the three modes of material nature, right? And the third thing what he talks about the spiritual master is a spiritual master always follows a tripod. What is that? He follows his own spiritual master, he follows the Shastra, and he also follows the Sadhu. There should be no contradiction of instructions between Guru, Shastra, and Sadhu. The spiritual master follows his spiritual master, he follows the Sadhus, and he follows, most importantly, the Shastras. Dharmam tu Sakshat Bhagavat Pranitam. Because the scriptures are given by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, a spiritual master follows the authorities. Finally, Prabhupada is talking about the qualities of a disciple, right? What should be the qualities of a disciple? One is Tatvidi Pranipatena Pariprashnena Sevaya, right? While the spiritual master has this qualification that he is able to deliver this disciple, from the disciple side, two important things are mentioned. What is that? Pariprashnena Sevaya. Pariprashnena means to ask intelligent questions to the spiritual master. Right? A disciple has a responsibility to ask intelligent questions. What is an intelligent question? Right? Not how to obtain ahar nidra bhaya maitunam, right? How do I better get eating facilities or sleeping facilities, right? That is not an intelligent question. An intelligent question is about how to advance better in Krishna consciousness. How do we develop the right attitude for seva, right? How do we understand the Krishna Siddhanta, and what is the right sadachar, right? All of this a disciple must inquire from the spiritual master. And pariprashnena and sevaya, very important, right? Unless a disciple renders service to the spiritual master, all of the disciples' inquiries will be futile. Why? Because only when we perform seva, our heart will be tuned to receive the instructions of the spiritual master. Because the spiritual master gives his blessings only when he or she is satisfied with the disciple rendering service, right? Finally, Prabhupada is saying a candidate must be prepared to change his habits, right? We are not part of this, 7 days Bhagavat Saptaha they do, right? Especially in South India, they do this Bhagavata Saptaha, 7 days, right? Everyone comes and thoroughly enjoys themselves for the 7 days, hearing about the Lord, pastimes or Rasa Leela, etc. But when they go back, they watch TV serials and they watch a cricket match, etc. Right? What does all this do? Right? All this does not bring about the necessary transformation in the heart of the devotee. Right? So one should try to follow the footsteps of the sages and should be ready to change one's habits. Change one's habits means one must be ready to transform one's life for the satisfaction of the Lord. How does one transform one's life, right? Whether or not we like it, we get up in the morning for the Brahma Murta chanting, and then we hear from Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, right? And finally, Prabhupada is saying one must be satisfied with the little bit wealth, whatever is allocated by the Lord, right? Isha Vasam Idam Sarvam Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat Tena Tektena Bunjita Magrada Kashya Svidhanam. Right? Whatever wealth one has obtained as mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one should simply accept those. Right? And then the last 2 points what Prabhupada is mentioning is one should observe the fasting dates. Like yesterday was Ekadashi, right? And today is the auspicious day of Dwadashi. Right? What do we do on Ekadashi dates? Right? We fast from certain foodstuffs, right? Fast from grains and beans. And then what are we doing? We also feast on Harinam. That means we chant extra rounds. We hear more from Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, etc. So in this way, what are we trying to do? We are trying to please the Lord by performing additional austerities. And then he must show respect to the banyan tree, the cow, the learned Brahmana, and the devotee. Right? Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihastini. Shuni Chaiva Swapakaicha Panditaha Samadarshinaha. Right? So a devotee must respect all of the things, all of the people, all of the living entities, right? Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastini. Whether an elephant, whether a devotee, whether he's a Brahmana, or whether he's a Shudra, right? Or whether the living entity is a cow or a tree, does not matter. Right? A living entity always sees the spirit soul in all of the other living entities, and in this way offers respect to all of them. Then Prabhupada says these are the stepping stones towards the path of devotional service. And one also has to adopt other items which are negative, right? We always have the do's and then we always have the don'ts, right? What are the don'ts that we will read now? Okay, so who wants to read? Deepak Prabhu, go ahead. Please start from number 11. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
One should avoid offenses in the discharge of devotional service and in chanting the holy names. He should avoid extensive association with non-devotees. He must not take on unlimited disciples. This means that a candidate who has successfully followed the first 12 items can also become a spiritual master himself, just as a student becomes a monitor in class with a limited number of disciples. He must not pose himself as a vastly learned man simply by quoting statements in books. He must have solid knowledge of the necessary books without superfluous knowledge in others. A regular and successful practice of the above 14 items will enable the candidate to maintain mental equilibrium even amidst great trials of material loss and gain. In the next state, the candidate does not become affected by lamentation and illusion. He does not deride another's mode of religion of worship, nor does he deride the personality of Godhead or his devotees. He never tolerates blasphemy against the Lord or his devotees. He should not indulge in the discussions of topics dealing with the relationship between man and woman, nor should he engage in useless topic concerning others' family affairs. He should not inflict pain either in the body or in mind upon other living beings, whomsoever they may be. Out of the above 20 items, the first three positive items are imperative and most essential for the serious candidate.
Right.
There are
Thank you, Prabhu.
Rich.
Hare Krishna. So here, Prabhupada is now talking about do nots, right? The do's we saw, how it's starting with the taking shelter of the bona fide spiritual master. But the do nots are, one is to avoid offenses, right? We have 10 offenses, which are called Nam Aparad. Every day morning before chanting, we recite those 10 offenses. So one should avoid these offenses in discharge of devotional service. One should avoid extensive association with non-devotees, right? Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami says, अत्याहार प्रयश्च प्रजल्प नियमाग्रह संग जनसंगश्च लौल्यश्च bhaktir vinashyati, right? Janasangascha laulyam, right? Janasanga means one associating with materialistic people, because we are said to be the average of the five people that we very, very closely intermingle with, right? So we should be very careful what association we take, right? Because we will become a product of what is the discussion that is going on, right? Because whatever we discuss with other people, that is what determines our consciousness. And then one must not take on unlimited disciples, right? We all have this fortune of being able to preach the message of Krishna consciousness with the grace of Guru, right? We've been instructed. Prabhupada says, Yare dekhe thare kahe Krishna upadesh, right? Whomever we meet, we have the instruction to preach the message of Krishna consciousness. But Prabhupada says here, one should not artificially try to pose as a vastly learned man, right? Simply trying to attract a name, fame, glory, or trying to attract followers. That is not the desire of a devotee. A devotee simply follows the instruction of one's spiritual master to simply repeat the words of the spiritual master, repeat the words of the Shastras and the sadhu to personally make a progress in spiritual life. And then Prabhupada says a regular and successful practice with the above 14 items. What are the 14 items? All the do nots will enable a person to maintain mental equilibrium, right? So Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, one who has controlled his mind, for such a person, his mind is his greatest friend. And for a person who does not control his mind is the greatest enemy. So by following these do's and don'ts, what happens? One is able to maintain the equilibrium, the mental equilibrium that is necessary to practice devotional service in spite of whatever happens in the material world. And then finally, the candidate does not become afflicted by lamentation and illusion. Brahmabhuta prasannatma na shochati na kankshati. So what does this knowledge of spiritual life do to us, right? The knowledge that it gives us is, we need not be unnecessarily lamenting or hankering for anything in this material world, because everything shall pass, right? And does not deride another's mode of religion, does not show that only what I am practicing, that is the best, right? And then finally, never tolerates blasphemy against the Lord or his devotees. This is the first offense, right? To blaspheme the devotees who dedicated their lives in propagating the holy names of the Lord all over the world, right? A devotee neither blasphemes nor does he hear blasphemy of the Lord or his devotees. And then Jana Sangascha Laulyam, that means he does not discuss topics of this material world, especially relating to the relationship between man and woman. He does not inflict pain either in body or mind to other living beings, right? And then Prabhupada says, finally, first three positive items, starting with taking shelter of a spiritual master, pariprashnen and sevaya. That means inquiring from the spiritual master and doing service to the spiritual master. They are the most essential items for a person who wants to advance in devotional service. Okay, so now let's go on to the rest of the 44 items. What Srila Prabhupada is mentioning here, these are also to be followed by the serious candidate. But then out of the 44 items, Prabhupada is saying there are 5 items which are selected by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as most important. So what are those 5 items? Prabhupada says these are selected owing to the present conditions of civic life. So these are applicable to us today as we are in Kali Yuga, right? What are those things that we need to follow? Okay, anyone wants to read? Maybe we'll read first 3 points. No, first 5 points we'll read. Okay, Anjana Mataji, go ahead.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. Yes.
From where, Mataji?
Should associate with the devotees.
One should associate with the devotees. Association with devotees is made possible by hearing them attentively, by asking them relevant questions, by supplying them food, and by accepting food from them, and by giving them charity, and by accepting from them whatever they offer. Number 2.
Yeah. So this is 6 points of Preeti Lakshanam, right? Rupa Goswami says, Dadati Pratigranati, Guhyam Akyati Prachati, Bhunkte Bonjayate Chaiva, Sadvidam Preeti Lakshanam. These are the 6 loving exchanges between devotees, right? Dadati Pratigranati, to accept charity and to give charity. Right? Dadati Pratigranati, Guhyam Akyati Prachati. That means to hear in confidence and to speak in confidence. And then Bhunkte Bonjete Chaiva. That means to accept prasadam and to give prasadam. These are the 6 Preeti Lakshanam, or the 6 loving exchanges between devotees. Okay, let's go on. What is the second one? Yes, Mataji, go on. Anjana Mataji.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in all circumstances. The chanting of Lord's name is an easy and inexpensive process of realization. One can chant any of the innumerable names of the Lord at any time. One should try to avoid offenses. There are 10 offenses which one can commit while chanting the transcendental names, and these should be avoided as far as possible. But in any event, one should try to chant the holy name of the Lord at all times.
So here, what is spoken about here is Nam Aparad. Nam Aparad means there are 10 offenses in chanting the holy names. Right? When we are sincerely trying to follow all of the 10 offenses, the continuous chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the best way we can avoid the offenses. Right? While we try not to blaspheme devotees, not to consider the names of chanting Hare Krishna as one of the auspicious ritualistic activities, not to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name, and all of the 10 offenses, while we sincerely try to avoid all of these offenses, what does a devotee do? A devotee simply continues to chant. Like yesterday, there were some devotees who chanted 108 rounds of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So when we chant more and more and more of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, we don't have time to do anything else. We don't have time for prajalpa. We don't have time for blaspheming the devotees. We don't have time to do anything else except chanting Hare Krishna and doing our spiritual activities. When we engage 24 hours in spiritual activities, we don't have time to do anything else. So in this way, what are we trying to do? We are trying to avoid the offenses in the holy name by trying to chant the holy names of the Lord at all times. Okay, go ahead. Point number 3.
One should hear the transcendental dental topics enunciated in the Srimad Bhagavatam. And this hearing is made possible through platform lecture by bona fide devotees and by authorized translations of the Bhagavatam. One should make his home at Mathura, and the birthplace of Lord Krishna, or one may make his home as good as Mathura by installing the deity of the Lord to be worshipped by all members of the family after proper initiation from the spiritual master. One should
hear transcendental topics. Transcendental topics means what we are doing right now. Right? As we are studying Srila Prabhupada's books, we are trying to understand all the transcendental topics about the Lord. And this should be from a bona fide authority and authorized translations. Like we're talking of the Bhagavata Saptaha, right? So here we are going to talk about what we hear from a bona fide authority, from a bona fide Guru Parampara. That is one of the 4 bona fide Guru Parampara. What are those? Lakshmi Sampradaya, Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, Rudra Sampradaya, and Kumara Sampradaya. And then finally, one should make his home at Mathura. This is Dhamavas, right? Where we have the deities installed at home and we are serving the deities. That is Dhamavas already. Okay, go ahead, Mataji. One may make his home as good as Mathura.
One should worship the installed deity with attention and devotion, so that the whole atmosphere of one's home become the replica of Lord's abode. This is made possible by the direction of the spiritual master, who knows the transcendental art and can show the candidate the proper method. The above 5 items can be adopted by any man in any part of the world. Thus, anyone can prepare himself for returning home back to Godhead by the simple method of recognized by authorities such as Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who specifically advented and himself to deliver the fallen souls of this age.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji. Okay, so now Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Anjana Mataji, thank you. So the Prabhupada has actually reiterated the 5 principles that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us, right? Which will help us progress in this path of devotional services, right? So Bhagavata Shravana, Nama Sankirtana. So in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have this 22.128, which is talking about what are the 5 angas which are most important that are given to us by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. What are those? Sadhu Sangha Nama Kirtana Bhagavata Shravana Mathura Vasa Sri Murtira Shraddhaya Sevana. Right? Sadhu Sangha, in the association of the devotees, what are we going to do? We're going to do Nama Kirtana. That means we're going to sing the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We're engaging in Sankirtana. Sankirtana is always in the association of devotees, right? Nama Japa and Sadhu Sangha. And then Bhagavata Shravana, that's what we are doing now, studying from Srimad Bhagavatam, hearing from Srimad Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada's books are Bhagavata Shravana also. Why? Because there are 2 ways by which we can do Bhagavata Sevya. One is to follow the instructions of a person Bhagavata. Second is to study the book Bhagavata, right? When we are studying Srila Prabhupada's books, we are following the instructions of the person Bhagavata. We are hearing from a person Bhagavata. And then Mathura Vas is having the deities installed at home, making our home the transcendental abode of the Lord. When Krishna is the center of all the activities that we do, then our home becomes Mathura. And then Sri Murtira Shraddhaya Sevana, right? Sri Murtira Shraddhaya Sevana is again deity worship. When we worship the deities of the Lord, the deity Archa Vigraha form of the Lord, then that worship is non-different from our direct association with the Lord, right? All of these things are non-different from direct personal association with the Lord. When we are chanting Hare Krishna, we are directly associating with the Lord. When we're doing, Archa Vigraha Seva, we are directly associating with the Lord. When we're doing Bhagavata Shravana, we are associating with the Lord. When we're doing Dhamavas, that means when we keep Krishna in the center of our home, that time also we are doing personal association with the Lord. So all of these 5 angas of bhakti given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we are doing complete association with the personal form of the Lord, right? Because Nama Chintamani Krishna Chaitanya Rasa Vigraha Purna Shuddho Nityamukto Abhinnatva Nama Naminu. The Lord's holy names and the form of the Lord are non-different, right? So whether we do Archa Vigraha Seva to the Lord, or whether we are chanting Hare Krishna, or whether we are hearing Srimad Bhagavatam, or we are performing worship of the deities for deity form, all of this is going to help us advance in Krishna consciousness, right? So like that. Okay, so now Prabhupada is going to talk about extra items of devotional service that is going to help us go back to Godhead. What are these extra things that we want to read now? Okay, who will read? Sindhu Mataji. Oh, sorry, Jyotsna Mataji. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam. Yes. For the details.
For further details on this subject, one should read literatures like the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, of which we have presented an English summary study entitled The Nectar of Devotion. The whole process of transferring oneself to the spiritual sky involves gradually liquidating the material composition of the gross and subtle coverings of the spirit. So, The above mentioned 5 items of devotional activities are so spiritually powerful that their performance by a devotee, even in the preliminary stage, can very quickly promote the sincere executor to the stage of bhava, the stage just prior to the love of Godhead, or emotions on the spiritual plane, which is transcendental to mental and intellectual function. A complete absorption in bhava or love of God makes one fit to be transferred to the spiritual sky just after leaving the material tabernacle.
Tabernacle.
The perfection of love of God by a devotee actually situates him on the spiritual platform. Even though he may still maintain a gross material body, he becomes like a red hot iron, which, when in contact with fire, actually ceases to be iron and acts like a fire. These things are made possible by the Lord's inscrutable and inconceivable energy, which material science has not the scope to calculate. One should therefore engage himself
Yeah.
in devotional service with Krishna,
With
with
absolute
absolute
faith.
faith, and make his faith steadfast. One should seek the association of the standard devotees of the Lord by personal association, if possible, or by thinking of them. This association will help one develop factual devotional service to the Lord, which will cause all material misgivings to disappear like a flash of lightning. All these different stages of spiritual realization will be personally felt by the candidate, and this will create in him a firm belief that he is making positive progress on the way to the spiritual sky. Then he will become sincerely attached to the Lord and his abode. Such is the gradual process of evolving love of God, which is the prime necessity for the human form of life. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Mataji.
Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. So very, very important. Prabhupada is giving us this journey from Shraddha to Krishna Prema. Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivriti, Nishtha, Ruchi, Ashakti, Bhava, and finally Prema. Right? As we are progressing in this path of bhakti, right, we will see what is the progress that we are making by ourselves, right? Just like Prabhupada says that a person who's hungry, right, when he has a nice Krishna Prasadam, he automatically feels that satisfaction in his heart. Oh, I'm satisfied. Now my stomach is full. My body is energized, like that. So by performing these 5 items of Anga, or the 5 items of devotional service, what happens? A person slowly but steadily progresses from Shraddha until he reaches the level of Krishna Prema. Right? And this is positively, personally felt by the candidate himself. That is very important, right? Falena parichiyate, right? One actually feels how one is actually advancing in this process of devotional service, and that is the test. Okay, so Hare Krishna, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Now we'll go on with our chapter 12 Bhagavad Gita recitation. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Chapter 12 of the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, I'll show the Hindi also. Yeah. Okay. So chapter 12 entitled Devotional Service. Let me share my screen. Yeah. Chapter 12 entitled Devotional Service. Arjuna Vacha Evam Satata Yuktaye Bhaktasvam Paryupasate Ye Chapyaksharam Avyaktam Tesham Ke Yoga Vittamaha. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Maya Veshamano Yemam Nityayukta Upasate Shraddhaya Parayopetas Te Me Yukta Tamamataha Etvaksharam Anirdesham Avyaktam Paryupasate Sarvatragam Achintyam Cha Kutastam Achalam Dhruvam Sanniyamyendriya Gramam Sarvatra Samabuddhayaha Te Prapnuvanti Mameva Sarvabhuta Hite Rataha Klesho Adhikatarastesham Avyakta Sakta Chetasam Avyakta Hi Gatir Dukham Dehavadbhiravapyate Yetu Sarvani Karmani Mayi Sanyasya Matparah Ananyenaiva Yogena Mam Dhyayanta Upasate Tesham Aham Samudarta मृत्यु संसार सागरात् भवामि न चिरात् पार्थ मय्यावेशित चेतसाम् मय्येव मन आदत्स्व मयि बुद्धिं निवेशय निवसिष्यसि मय्येव अत ऊर्ध्वं न संशयः अत चित्तं समादातुं न शक्नोषि मयि स्थिरम् अभ्यास योगेन ततो मामिच्छाप्तुं धनञ्जय अभ्यासेऽपि समर्थोऽसि मत्कर्म परमो भव मदर्थम् अपि कर्माणि कुर्वन् सिद्धिम् अवाप्स्यसि अतैतदपि अशक्तोऽसि कर्तुम् मद्योगमाश्रितः सर्वकर्मफलत्यागम् ततः कुरु यतात्मवान् श्रेयो हि ज्ञानमभ्यासात् ज्ञानाध्यानम् विशिष्यते ध्यानात् कर्मफलत्यागात् शान्तिरनन्तरम् अद्वेष्टा सर्वभूतानां मैत्रः करुण एव च निर्ममो निरहङ्कारः समदुःखसुखक्षमी सन्तुष्टः सततं योगी यथात्मा दृढनिश्चयः मय्यर्पिता मनो बुद्धेर्यो मद्भक्तसमे प्रियः यस्मान्नो द्विजते लोको लोकानो द्विजते च यः हर्षमर्षभयोद्वेगैर्मुक्तो यः स च मे प्रियः अनपेक्षा शुचिर्दक्षा उदासीना गताव्यतः सर्व आरंभ परित्यागी यो मद्भक्तः स मे प्रियः यो न हृष्यति न द्वेष्टि न शोचति न काङ्क्षति शुभा परित्यागी भक्तिमान्य स मे प्रियः समशत्रौ च मित्रे च तथा मान अपमानयोः शीतोष्णा सुखदुःखेषु समसङ्गविवर्जितः तुल्यनिन्दास्तुतिर्मौनी सन्तुष्टो येन केनचित् अनिकेतः स्थिरमतिर्भक्तिमान् मे प्रियो नरः ये तु धर्मामृतमिदं यथोक्तं पर्युपासते श्रद्धाधाना मत्परमा भक्तास्तेति ममे प्रियाः हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna. So now we will go on to our study of Gopi Geet, which this is from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapter number 31, entitled The Gopis' Songs of Separation, which is always generally called as Gopi Geet. Text 1. Gopya uchuhu jayati te dikam Krishna janmana vraja श्रयत इंदिरा कृष्णा शाश्वदात्रहि दयित दृश्यतां कृष्णा दिक्षुतावकाश वैधृतासवास त्वां विचिन्वते शरदुदाशये कृष्णा साधु जातसात् सरसिजोधरा कृष्णा श्रीमुषादृशा सुरतनातते शुल्कदासिका वरदनिघ्नतो नेह किं वधा विषजलाप्ययात् कृष्णा व्यालराक्षसात् वर्षमारुतात् कृष्णा वैद्युतानलात् वृषमयात्मजात् कृष्णा विश्वतो भयात् ऋषभते वयं कृष्णा रक्षिता मुहुः न खलु गोपिका कृष्णानन्दनो भवान् अखिल देहिनां कृष्णा अन्तरात्मकृत् विघ्न सार्थितो कृष्णा विश्वगुप्तये सगौ देयीवान् कृष्णा सात्वतां कुले विरचिता भयं कृष्णा वृष्णिदूर्यते चरणमीयुषां कृष्णा संश्रुतेर्भयात् करसरोरुहं कृष्णा कान्तकामदं शिरसि देहिना कृष्णा श्रीकराग्रहं व्रजजनार्तिहन् कृष्णा वीरयोषिताम् निज जनस्मया कृष्णा ध्वंसन स्मिता भज सखे भवत् कृष्णा किंकरी स्मनो जलरुहाननं कृष्णा चारुदर्शया प्रणत देहिनां कृष्णा पापकर्षणं तृणचरानुगं कृष्णा श्रीनिकेतनं फणिफणार्पितं कृष्णा ते पदाम्बुजं कृणुकुचेषुना कृष्णा कृन्दी हृच्चयम् मधुरया गिरा कृष्णा वल्गुवाक्यया बुधमनोज्ञया कृष्णा पुष्करे क्षणा विधिकरीरिमा कृष्णा वीरमूयते अदरसीधुना प्यायाय यस्वनाः तव कथामृतं कृष्णा तप्तजीवनम् कविभिरीडितं कृष्णा कल्मषापहम् श्रवणमङ्गलं कृष्णा श्रीमदाततम् भुवि गृह्णन्ति ये कृष्णा भूरिदा जनाः प्रहसितं प्रिया कृष्णा प्रेमवीक्षणम् विहरणं च ते कृष्णा ध्यानमङ्गलम् रहसि संविदो कृष्णाया हृदि स्पृशा कुहकनो मना कृष्णा क्षोभयन्ति हि चलसि यद्व्रजात् कृष्णा चारयान् पशून् नलिनसुन्दरं कृष्णवनाथ ते पदम् श्रीलतृणाङ्कुरैः कृष्णा सीदतीति न कलिलतां मनः कृष्णा कान्त गच्छति दिनपरीक्षये कृष्णा नीलकुण्ठलये वनरुहाननं कृष्णा बिभ्रदावृतम् गणरजस्वलं कृष्णा दर्शयान्मुहुर् मनसि न स्मरं कृष्णा वीरयच्छसि प्रणतकामदं कृष्णा पद्मजार्चितं धरणिमण्डनं कृष्णा ध्येयमापदि चरणपङ्कजं कृष्णा शन्तमं च ते रमणनस्तनेष्वर्पयादिहन् सुरतवर्धनं कृष्णा शोकनाशनम् स्वरितवेणुना कृष्णा सुष्ठुचुम्बितम् इतर रागवी स्मरणं नृणाम् पितरवीरनस्ते धरामृतम् अदति यद्भवान् अहनिकाननं त्रुटियुगायते त्वामपश्यताम् कुटिलकुण्टलं कृष्णा श्रीमुखं च ते यदौ दीक्षतां कृष्णा पक्ष्मकृदृशाम् पतिसुतान्वया कृष्णा भ्रातृबान्धवान् अतिविलङ्घ्यते कृष्णा अन्त्य अच्युतागताः गतिविदस्तवोद् गीतमोहिता कितवयोषिता कृष्णा कस्य जेनिषि रहसि संविदं कृष्णा हृच्चयोदयम् प्रहसिताननं कृष्णा प्रेमवीक्षणम् बृहदुरश्रियो कृष्णा वीक्ष्यतामते मुहुरति स्पृहा कृष्णा मूयते मनाः व्रजवनौकसां कृष्णा व्यक्तिरङ्गते वृजिनहन्त्र्यलं कृष्णा विश्वमङ्गलम् त्यजमनाक्षणास्त्वत्स्पृहात्मनां स्वजनहृदृजां यन्निषूदनम् यत्ते सुजातचरणाम्बुरुहं स्तनेषु बीताक्षणे प्रियदधीमहि कर्कशेषु तेन तवीमतसि तद्यततेन किं स्वेत् पूर्वादिभिर्भ्रमति दीर्घवदायुषां नः हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे Hare Krishna, Gopi Geet ki jai. So now we will go ahead with the singing of Damodar Ashtakam and offering of Deep Dan to Shri Shri Radha Damodar, to Shri Shri Yashoda Damodar. And today's lesson, like yesterday we saw how Mother Yashoda was so determined to run behind Krishna and catch Krishna in spite of feeling tired, in spite of feeling breathless, all of this way, Mother Yashoda was running behind Krishna. So it was 2 fingers too short, right? After catching Krishna, Mother Yashoda tried to bind Krishna to the motor. And at that time, she found the rope was 2 fingers too short. So the first one represents endeavor, and the second one represents the mercy. Right? It is a lesson for all of us how we can also bind Krishna, provided we also endeavor with utsahat, nischayat, dhairyat, and we wait for the mercy of the Lord. Finally, Krishna is tied to the motor, and there is also there's this some acharyas explain that Srimati Radharani also comes there, and she actually takes out her ribbon and gives to Mother Yashoda, and that is what Mother Yashoda actually does. The last 2 fingers is the 2 ribbons of Radharani, which she uses to tie Krishna. So that is why we sing the last line, Namo Radhikaye Tvadiya Priyaye Namo Anantalilaya Devaya Tubhyam. It is only by the mercy of Srimati Radharani that we can bind Krishna, that we can make Krishna stay in the imprison Krishna in the storehouse of our heart. Right? So that is our lesson for today. So finally, we are always praying for the mercy of Srimati Radharani. It is only by the mercy of Srimati Radharani that we can catch Krishna, we can bind Krishna, we can eternally keep Lord Krishna in our hearts. Hare Krishna. So now we'll sing the Damodara Ashtakam. So this is written by Satyavrata Muni, and the explanation is given by Sanatana Goswami. How? Simply by Leela Smaran, by remembering these wonderful pastimes of Damodar Leela, right? One can actually advance in spiritual life. So let's sing this beautiful Damodar Ashtakam and offer our lamps to Shri Shri Radha Damodar. Namamishwaram Shachitanandarupam Lasat Kundalam Gokule Brajamanam Yashodabiyolukaladavamanam Paramrishtamathyanta Todruta Gopya Rudantamuhurnetra Yogmam Rajantam Parambojayugmen Satankanetram Mushwasakampatririkhankakanta Sitagraivam Damodaram Bhaktivadham Iti Drikshvalila Virananda Kunde Swagosham Nimajantamakhyapayantam Tadiyeshitagyeshu Bhaktairjitatvam Punha prematastam satavriti vande Varam deva moksham na mokshavadim va Nachanyam vrineyam varishadapiha Idam teva purnata gopala balam Tadame manasya virashtam kimanyaye Idam te mukambojam atyantanilaye Vritam kundalai snigdha raktesha gopya Mohuchumbitam bimba raktadaram me Manasya virashtam alam lakshulabhaye Namo deva damodarananta vishnu Pratida prabho dukha jalabhimagnam Kripa drishti vrishtyati dinam vatanu Vihanishamamajnam yedyakshidrisha Ruveratmajau bhakta mudaiva yadvan Tvayamochitau bhakti vajo krutau cha Tada prema bhaktim swakame prayacha Namo Vigraho me Sri Damodareha Namaste Sudhamne Suradipti Damne Tvadiyodharayata Vishwasadhamne Namo Radhikayai Tvadiya Priyayai Namo Anantalilayaya Devaya Tubhyam Namo Radhikayai Tvadiya Priyayai Namo Anantalilayaya Devaya Tubhyam Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Jayo Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Radha Damodar Shri Radhe Jayo Yashoda Damodar Yashoda Damodar Yashoda Damodar Shri Radhe Jayo Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Gurudev Gurudev Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol राम संकीर्तन की जय दामोदर अष्टकम की जय दीपदान महामहोत्सवा की जय निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल all glories assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories assembled devotees Hare Krishna all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga Srila Prabhupada ki jai Hare Krishna. So we thank all the devotees who joined us today for our Kartik special session that we are doing every day. for the pleasure of Guru and Gauranga. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. So everyone can mute themselves now. In case anyone wants to ask anything or share any realizations, then you may do so. Otherwise, we'll meet tomorrow morning for the Brahma Murta chanting session at 5 o'clock. And then again, Krishna willing, at 6 p.m. Indian Standard Time, we will continue with our study of Srila Prabhupada's book, Easy Journey to Other Planets. And then we continue with our Kartik month special recitations, followed by Damodarashtakam. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada, Srila Gurudeva ki Jai, Ananta Koti Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hare Krishna. Thank you. Pranams to all the devotees. Hare Krishna. Thank you all for joining in.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. I just boarded the train.
Oh, you boarded train too?
To return back. We were in
Vrindavan.
Brindavan.
Jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much,
Vatsana,
Mataji.
15 days. Hare Krishna, wonderful, wonderful.
Jai Shri Radhesham. Jai Shri Vrindavan. Hari Bol. Hope you prayed for all of us, Mataji. Hare Krishna. And you served Gomata on behalf of all of us. Yeah, Hare Krishna. It's wonderful to be in the auspicious dham in this month of Kartik. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Dalat pranams. Okay, Hare Krishna. So Mataji is in the train. They're not even here. We will hear from you tomorrow. We'll hear from Mataji tomorrow when she's back in Mumbai. All right. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Thank you.